Hi, this is Zach Meir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Sunday, the 11th of June. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which has been marooned within the 50 and 200-day moving averages. 50-day line around 77.17, and the 200-day moving average around 75.26. Above the 200-day line, we're still hoping for the 50-day line to be taken out, and I suppose even there's a resistance line there from back in April, which is running almost level with that 50-day line, 77.20. So that's probably the earliest trigger on the long side. On the short side, back below on the floor of that rising trend channel from August, around 74.70, and we risk a test of support towards March. The March lows, 72, 7300 maybe, over the coming weeks. But at the moment, while we're above that October line, still hoping for that 50-day line to break and a push to the upside. Moving on to the DAX, which has been a stronger play than the FTSE in the recent past, but it has actually gone rather flat. I suppose everyone waiting for the Fed announcement midweek, next week, on the next interest rate situation. If they peaked, then maybe we'll be looking at a decent move through 16,000 for the DAX. Otherwise, possibility of a test of the late May support there around 15,600. And you've got the 50-day line there around 50,800 potential support points. RSI still above neutral 50 just, so that is a positive as we wait for the Fed. Speaking of the Fed and American activities, here we've got the Dow, and the Dow we're hoping for the big breakthrough the April 2022 resistance line, which you can see what has been a block on progress for more than a year now. That's almost exactly at 34,000, wanting to see an end of day or a weekly close above that, and then initial target there up to 34,700. Big picture target over the next 2 to 3 months as high as 37,000. Positives at the moment, as well as the RSI being above, well above neutral 50 for the Dow, is the way that we've got both the 50 and 200-day moving averages both rising. The 50 exceptionally sharply at the moment, and you can see we touched that April 2022 resistance line on Friday, so not too far away from a what would be quite a significant break to the upside. On the downside, nothing worse than 32,700 expected at the 200-day line and the floor of that rising trend channel from the end of last year. On to Bitcoin, which is being battered by, well, at least the crypto area is being battered by the authorities. I think quite a result that we're still above the 25,000 level, 25,000 the old August to February resistance, and above that, still hoping for a break of that April resistance line in the 50-day moving average around 27,700, although with the backdrop that we have and the RSI well below 50 at 40, and having suffered many, well, at least a couple of failures there at the neutral 50 level, does look as though there's the risk of not only a test of 25,000, but also test of the floor of that rising trend channel from this time last year at 23,300, which is also the area of the 200-day moving average. But unlike an unlikely break of the 50-day line could take us through to 30,000 relatively quickly. On to the stocks, and quite a few stocks which are repeating here. The weekend, good week for Acuity, which turned into Acuity after being drums. Unfilled gap to the upside off the low, so that was a bear trap gap reversal. We had a bullish divergence, which started the whole rally here at the end of last month, and we've now got the 50 and 200-day moving averages both rising. Unfilled gap to the upside on Friday, so a lot of things there looking rather good. The longer we can stay above resistance on the way down around 8.5 pence, the greater the chance of a move to the top of the broadening triangle from back in September as high as 14 pence by the end of next month. Ideally, we stay above that 200-day line just shy of 8 pence. Moving along to Block Energy, and here some decent signs of a turnaround. We've got a high-low versus March, April, and we never filled that unfilled gap to the upside from the turn of the month in April as well, so that's a positive. Above a penny, we're looking for, I suppose, May resistance around 1.5 pence, but the big picture target here, maybe as soon as the end of next month, but this rising 50-day line and uptrend line in the RSI window is as high as 2.2 pence. So let's see if shares of Block can finally outperform, as it's the company's fans have been looking for it to do for quite some time. Another stock which needs to get a grip is Brez, Blencowe rather. Brez is the ticker code. Here we've had good consolidation for the shares above a rising 50-day moving average. That's normally a precursor of a decent push to the upside. We'd break that resistance line there around 6 pence and head up to as high as 8.5 pence by the end of next month, while there's no touch of the rising 50-day line, currently around 4.8 pence. So let's see if the way that both the 50 and 200-day lines are rising in parallel, and the bounces for the RSI just below the 50 level give this stock some decent momentum. Onto a stock which I was trying to avoid, but too good to miss out on, Creo Medical. And here you can see why. We've got a rising trend channel there from December. Top of the channel there at 42 pence. So we've just broken the 50-day line on Friday around 25 pence. And above that, looking for a 40 pence target, 40 plus pence target, as soon as the end of next month. You tend to have that progression, 10, 15, 25, 40. So let's see if we can get that 25, 40 part of the progression there on Creo. Only back below recent support, sub 23 pence, really delaying the upside scenario there. A company which seems to have a bit of intelligent following at the moment is C4X, and here it's appropriate that we're covering the shares. We've got that arc, that rising 50-day line support at and above that 50-day line, a bit like Blencowe, and the end of week close above the 200-day moving average suggests that above 18 pence we're looking for 24 pence as soon as the end of next month, and maybe if we're lucky by the end of this month. Haven't looked at Capex for a couple of days, so it's worth having another chase of this rather acute situation. Sort of a saucer-shaped reversal here. We broke the back above the top of the gap there around 1.5 pence, and above 1.5 pence looking for a clearance of the 50-day line, and then perhaps even filling the gap there up to 2.2 pence by the end of next month. But the proviso is we need to hold above the 1.5 pence level. Otherwise, it could just be reverting to the breakdown that we've seen previously. Moving on to European metals, and here the picture is another break of the 200-day moving average. In this case, it's around 38 pence. Above that, we're looking for the top of that broadening triangle from December as high as 50 pence by the end of this month. You can see also that the 200-day line and the old March resistance on the way down, very similar levels, so above 38, looking for 50 on European metals. I haven't looked at Eden before. I think it's a company which gets a lot of negative attention from the bears, but here we've also broken the 200-day line, in this case around 4.6 pence. Above that, looking for the top of a triangle there from back in the early part of last year, so that's from March last year, and that's heading up to 7 pence. Hopefully we'll see that by the end of this month, and also that would signal that the shares are staging a lasting turnaround. A nice move for LifeSafe this week, and I mentioned in my editorial as well. Here we've gapped up above the 50-day moving average and up to the 200-day line around 41 pence. Above 41 pence on an end-of-day close basis, we're looking for 60 pence at the top of that broadening triangle from September. We've also got RSI backing as well, so an uptrend line there. But the main thing is that we gapped up and we've stayed up and above old resistance on the way down around 36 pence. One would expect LifeSafe to finally get off the ground. Moving on to mobile streams, another company which I mentioned in my editorial. I've interviewed the CEO many times, and it looks like share price is finally responding to the efforts he's made. Broadening triangle there from January, top of the triangle there at 0.17, so looking for that as soon as the end of this month, while we hold above the 50-day moving average around 0.11. So let's see if mobile can deliver the goods. Nuformix also bounced at the end of last week. Here we've got gap through the 50-day line. Obviously, it's not a great liquid situation, but the longer we stay above the 50-day average at around 0.26, the greater the chance of move to 0.45 as soon as the end of next month, but probably just waiting for one more affirmation of the improved trend there at Nuformix. Not in alphabetical order, but here it is, Oracle Power, and here stock has had a good week. Just need to break the 50-day moving average there around 0.14. Above that, looking for 0.17 by the end of the month initially, and hopefully 0.2 at the 200-day line by the end of next month. Upside valid while we hold above the initial June support there at 0.12. Finishing off with Sovereign Metals. Again, a stock which looks like it's starting to respond to the news. And you'll see that we've had a sort of bumping along the bottom situation there, around 22 pence since October. Nice close at the end of last week above the 50-day moving average at 23.6 pence. But hoping for if this is the low for the stock, then by the end of next month it will be up to 36 pence. And cautious traders waiting on an end-of-day close through the 200-day moving average, backed by that RSI support line. But clearly we don't want to see sub 22 pence again on Sovereign. That's it from me today. More updates during the week.